Shalom, shalom, Israel, shalom. It's Brother Raya. I want to give all honor and glory to the Most High God, Yahweh, Bahashema Mashiach, Malak Yahushua. Another strong shalom to all of the mighty brothers that go out there and labor on the highways and byways, making their body living sacrifice. In the rain, the tumults, the demons, the uprises, the uproars, they're out there standing 10 toes down for the name of the Lord. Another strong shalom to all of the mighty brothers that are not out there as of yet, but they're building themselves up, reading, praying, fasting, doing everything they could do to put themselves in a position to shake the hand, to wake up the hopeful elect. Another strong shalom to all of the mighty Akwaf in this thing, sincerely reverencing their husbands, being teachers of good things to the children at home, being quiet, shamefaced, submissive, loving, steadfast, cooking, sewing, cleaning, doing all of the righteous acts for our foremothers, on fire for the Lord. Another strong shalom to all of the mighty Akwaf that are not married as of yet, but they're building themselves up, reading, praying, and fasting, doing everything they can do to help the ministry and magnify the Most High, His beloved Son Yahushua. Another strong shalom to all of the mighty children in this thing, man. Right, zealous of good works, still on fire, reading, praying, fasting, abstaining from all lust, concupiscence, and peer pressure, standing 10 toes down for the name of the Lord. And last but not least, another strong shalom to the 12 tribes scattered abroad, reading, praying, fasting, magnifying the Most High and His beloved Son Yahushua. Most High willing, everybody's on fire. They're doing the will and the work of the Most High. They're enjoying the feast of the unleavened bread, right? They just had a mighty Passover. They're in the spirit. Their family is in order. Their house is in order. They're doing the work of the Most High. They're not fainting. They're waxing stronger. They're not giving heed to the spiritual demon Satan, right? They're not bowing down to the flesh. You're showing yourself men in this flesh, man. Right? You're showing yourself a woman of God. You're becoming a priest. You're fulfilling the things that Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai have spoken of old, man. And we're going to dive into it. I believe I labeled this Secrets in the Wilderness and the Shepherd. And I want to dive deep, through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, to go inside to dive into the wilderness. Seeing it's fitting through the spirit and being a feast of unleavened bread, right? Let's go to the mighty book of Isaiah, right? I want to get this real fast, right? In the book of Isaiah. You have to be diving down, right, in the spirit in the last days, man. Right? Understanding what this truth is all about. Understanding why our forefathers have failed, right? And the things we need to do to increase in these last days. Let's go to the book of Isaiah, chapter 26. It's Isaiah chapter 26. And I'm going to start at verse, right, 19. Thy dead man shall live. So this is twofold. It's talking about the resurrection in the last days and Yahweh Shai, and that's being beamed up in the chariots, Most High willing. But it's also talking about you in the dead estate, man. See, we came out of Egypt, believe it or not. Regeneration is real. Brothers have actually lived 2,000 years ago, 3,000 years ago, 4,000 years ago in the flesh, and you had a lot that you continuously maintain into the end days. Let me get that real fast. Let's go to the book of Daniel, chapter 12. See, in order to really understand the scriptures, you have to know the law. You have to understand as much as you can of Yahweh Shai, and you have to understand how regeneration works, man, through the spirit. This is the book of Daniel, chapter 12, in verse, right, number 13. But go thy way to the NB, for thou shalt rest and stand in thy lot at the end days. So if you really understand the book of Daniel, the 12th chapter, Daniel wanted to understand the prophecy that the angel was kind of breaking down. But it wasn't that time and that lot for it to be given to Daniel, for it to be revealed. But the angel, through Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shah, said what? Stand in your lot. Meaning what? You're already a prophet. You're already a righteous man. Stand in this, and in the end days, you'll get it. It will be revealed because knowledge will be increased. Like it reads about in verse 4. But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased. So knowledge is being increased in the last days, right? The breakdowns and the revelations, the prophecies, all of the hidden mysteries and the parables, these things are being sealed up but being revealed in the last days. This is what Daniel said in verse 8. And I heard, but I understood not. So the prophet Daniel didn't understand everything that he was even prophesying. Then said I, oh my Lord, what shall be the end of these things? Meaning he wants to know. And he said, go thy way, Daniel, for the words are closed up. That's why the angel told him to stand in his lot. It says, and sealed till the time of the end. And when was it going to be revealed? To the ancient prophet Daniel during the times of the end. And Daniel's back on the earth. Ezekiel, right? If it be their time and season of the Heavenly Father regenerating them back on the earth, these men are back on the earth. That's why it says, thy dead men shall live. And we were once dead, man. We was in the world. We was given to lust, diverse vanity, right? We were all in mischief, gang banging violence. Together with my dead body shall they arise. And we're arising in the last days, man. Brothers are standing on their feet. The Lord said in the book of Revelation, let me get this real fast. See, brothers got to really wake up and really feel the spirit of Yahweh on the earth, man. And stop waiting for a bomb to drop for your eyes to open, man. If you can't realize right now, there are over hundreds and thousands of brothers in this truth, man. Sisters cooking right now the unleavened bread. Children praying toward the east before they even know the Hebrew, man. Before they even start speaking complete sentences. The spirit of the Most High is on on brothers in the last days. Brothers having dreams. Brothers waking up, prophesying, man. Brothers opening up the book without a teacher or a reader or a priest and understanding firsthand by Yahweh Shah the words of life, man. It's the book of Revelation, chapter 11. I'm going to get this real fast. In verse 11. And after 3 days, right, and a half, the spirit of life from God entered into them. This is the same thing that Ezekiel saw in Ezekiel 37, that vision of men in that exceedingly great army of the saints, man. And they stood upon their feet, and great fear fell upon them which saw them. And don't think these nobles, these elites, right, these Oppenheimers, right, the government, right, the judicial branch, right, all of the military, they don't understand and have eyes on the so-called Hebrew black Israelites, man. Don't think they don't know what's going on, because great fear is coming upon them. They're forming laws behind closed doors. They're doing things amping up for the end days. So don't be ignorant, foolish, sleepy, and in a state of relaxation that you don't perceive dead men arising in the last days. The Lord said, awake and sing, ye that dwell in the dust. And what is that song? The song of Moses, man. The song of the law. The song of rejoicing. Sacrifices of praise, man. It says, for thy dew is as the dew of herbs, and the earth shall cast out the dead. Come, my people. Right? So the Lord is saying, as we arise up in the last days, what's going to be our last lot? To be beamed up and to be saved. So I brought this out through the spirit, right, to go back to the wilderness, because those same ancient spirits are back on the earth. Those same spirits of murmuring, hatred, unbelief, violence, preeminence, glory, right? Loving Egypt, loving their oppressor, loving violence, right? Hating righteousness. These things are regenerated and they're back on the earth. Let's go to the book of Numbers, right? Chapter 9. Let's dive straight into it. This is Numbers chapter 9, right? And verse number 19. It says, and when the cloud tarried long, what is the cloud? A chariot. Meaning Yahweh Shai firsthand, he led us as a shepherd. So from the days of old to the days that we live in now, we're being led by the shepherd, man. And the Lord said in the book of Matthew, he said, lo, I will be with you even unto the end, man. That's not something he just told the 12. That's something that actually is going on right now because we're led by the comforter, man. It's a reason why brothers get chills when they hear precepts, man. Why brothers want to hear precepts, why you feel antsy and you itching and your spirit not right when you don't go to camp, man. It's a reason why your spirit jacked up and you ain't read all day. Because the comforter, the spirit, the cogitation of your mind is pulling you and yanking you toward righteousness, man. And that's the spirit, man, of the Heavenly Father in the last days, right, put upon man. Right, let me read that again. And when the cloud tarried long, meaning the chariot, it tarried, it says, upon the tabernacle many days. Then the children of Israel kept the charge of the Lord and journeyed not. Meaning in the ancient world, you didn't just do what you wanted to do. We all moved collectively as a camp. And when Yahweh Shai said, no, we're going to stay here, a week. We're going to stay a month. We're going to stay 2 days. Nobody went out of the charge. They continuously followed Yahweh Shai as the shepherd. But let me get this quick precept, the classic, about how things have changed. How when temptation heats up, you get antsy. How you don't want to follow the shepherd anymore, man. Let's go to the book of Psalms, chapter 23. This is the book of Psalms, chapter 23, in verse number 1. The Lord is my shepherd. And we read this, but do we actually believe this? Do we actually follow this, man? Because the Lord's going to lead you to temptation, man. It's going to lead you to, a valley, a hill, darkness. He creates good and evil. He's going to put you in situations you don't want to be in, man. He's going to test that furnace and that temperature. He's going to guide you to the kingdom. But what's in the midst of the kingdom, man? Thieves, liars, magicians, sorcery, violence, sex, drugs, temptation, and all manner of sorcery, man, to elude your mind and take you off the path, to have you to wander off the course. It says, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. Yeah, this feels good, but you have to be able to get to the green pastures. See, a lot of people, they look at the end all be all, man, right? Oh, this man got muscles, or oh, you done got in shape, you done lost 25 pounds, 35 pounds. They don't see the sweat in the gym. They don't perceive the long hours, man. Waking up early, the cutting of the diet. To get to these green pastures, you have to go through things, man. He leadeth me beside still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. It's the point. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, man. What's the valley of the shadow of death, man? It's Egypt, man. That's literally what the valley of shadow of death is. Right? It's not what your pastor says. It's not a dark alley, man, where Spider-Man is going to come and save you, man. Right next to a dumpster where people are shooting dice and snorting all type of things. The valley of the shadow of death is Egypt, man. Right? Let me get this real fast. Get this quick precept. Right? Let me get this quick precept. It's Deuteronomy 4. I'm going to quote it real fast. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil. Salakia, that's not what I want. Let me see. I'm going to have to pull that up. Bear with me. Right? In Deuteronomy 8. Salakia, bear with me. Right? It says, then thine heart be lifted up, and thou forget the Lord thy God, which brought thee forth out of the land of Egypt, right, out of the house of bondage. Bondage, servitude, right, all things of mischief, right? But nevertheless, it's literally the valley of the shadow of death, man. Let me go back to it. Let's go to the mighty book of Numbers. It says, and so it was when the cloud was a few days upon the tabernacle, according to the commandment of the Lord, they abode in their tents. According to the commandment of the Lord, they journeyed. So it was when the cloud abode, even unto morning, that the cloud was taken up right in the morning, and they journeyed. Whether it was by a day, right, day or night, that the cloud was taken up, they journeyed. It's the point. Or whether it were 2 days. So the pillar and the chariot may be there 2 days. You have to be patient. You have to wait. You can't say I'm tired. I didn't wash. I'm ready to eat. I'm ready to move. And there be a lot of that times with like husbands and wives. Why can't we do things now? I want to do this right now. Let's go live here. Let's do this. Let's do that. You have to be patient, man. We're not on our time. We're on the Lord's time, man. And brothers don't really understand that. Being in tribulation, catching hell, man. We're gonna suffer temptation 10 days, like it says in the book of Revelation, man. But you have to endure that. Or whether it be 2 days or a month or a year, that the cloud tarried upon the tabernacle, remain thereon. And this is spiritual because this is the same spirit in the second wilderness. Don't think that the second wilderness is going to be some glorious venture, man. Where Abraham's walking, he dapping up Isaiah, Ezekiel, he descend out of nowhere. You finally see Noah, man, and his beard is blowing in the wind. This same ancient mindset of being patient, waiting, enduring, going through the fire, being patient, all of these things are going to have to endure from the first Egypt to a sojourner right now in the spiritual wilderness to the second wilderness, which we're going to get to most high willing, man. It says that the cloud tarried upon the tabernacle, remaining thereon. The children of Israel abode in their tents and journeyed not. But when it was taken up, they journeyed. And at the commandment of the Lord, they rested in their tents, man. And don't nobody want to hear that, man. Don't no wicked man want to hear that. At the commandment of the Lord, they rested. Meaning it's not of you right now to rest. It's work to be done, man. There's building to be done. See, too many people, they don't follow the Lord. You really follow yourself. You're that same ancient demon, wicked man in the wilderness that's doing what you want to do, man. Just because you know the precepts, you keep a couple of commandments, don't mean you follow the Lord, man. At the commandment of the Lord, they rested. Last time I checked, the Lord ain't give nobody no rest yet, man. The rest is the kingdom. For all you brothers that are traveling, going into many states, building up many camps, going hard in the spirit, not fainting, always fasting, making their body a living sacrifice, man. All praises to the Most High for brothers like that, man. Because they're moving in the spirit of Yahweh Shai because Yahweh Shai is leading them. It says, and at the commandment of the Lord, they journeyed and kept the charge of the Lord at the commandment of the Lord by the hand of Moses. Let's go to the book of Numbers, chapter 11. It's Numbers chapter 11 and verse 31. Let me get this quick precept. And it reads, and there went forth a wind from the Lord. So who put the wind forth? The Lord did. And brought quails from the sea and let them fall by the camp. So the Lord, sit back and see what you're going to do, man. See, that wind could be women. That wind could be drugs, man. That wind could be relaxation. That wind could be vacation, man. That wind could be anything you've been wanting and been feeling like you need to crave all this time, man. The Lord said, and there went a wind, meaning temptation, man, to breeze and hit you. As it were a day's journey on this side, and it were a day's journey on this other side, round about the camp, and it were 2 cubits high upon the face of the earth. And the people stood up all that day and all that night and all the next day, and they gathered the quails that he gathered, least gathered 10 homers, and they spread them all abroad for themselves round about the camp, man. So they stayed up all night gathering all of this quail, all of this meat. It says, and while the flesh was yet between their teeth, ere it was chewed, the wrath of the Lord was kindled against the people, man. So don't think you're going to get jammed up on your way to that woman, on your way to that cigarette, on your way to being slothfulness to that pillow, man. See, the Lord let you enjoy it. He let you heap up sin upon yourself so that when you finally get judged, you get destroyed. You get killed. You get slaughtered. Let me get this real fast in the book of Psalms, man. And the Lord said in the book of Psalms, the 5th chapter, it's like Proverbs, the 5th chapter, and verse number 21, for the ways of man are before the eyes of the Lord. Meaning the Lord is always watching and perceiving man, and he pondereth all his goings. So when you think the Lord not watching you, he not hearing you murmuring that tent, he's always watching. His own iniquities shall take the wicked himself. What does that mean? Meaning the very thing you did is going to be the very thing that kills you, man. That very argument. You not taking care of your family. You treating your wife like trash and not becoming as a man of the Lord, man. You not forgiving your husband. These calamities and witchcraft that's laying hold in your mind is going to take the wicked himself. And he shall be holden with the cords of his sin. What does that mean, man? Meaning whatever it is you're entertaining is going to do what? It's going to wrap yokes around you. Put chains around you. Put chains around your neck. Put chains around your hands. Put manacles between, right, your kneecaps. You're not going to be able to move to follow the shepherd because you're bound up with sin, man. Who set you free? Yahweh Shai. Who gives you liberty? What blood cleanses you and sanctifies you and gives you an opportunity to come before the Lord, man? Yahweh Shai. So once these men in the wilderness start indulging with fleshly things, an earthly mindset, a spirit of the world, the Lord gave them over to that. They got bound up with cords of sins and they got destroyed, man. And their corpse, their dead bodies, right, were left in the wilderness. It says, he shall die without instruction because you denied it. And in the greatness of his folly, what does that mean, the greatness of his folly? I mean, the Lord will let you, be a singer, man. You may mess around and get a contract. You may mess around and tour, man. You may mess around and get a Grammy. But in the greatness of your height, of you enjoying your lust, the Lord is going to kill you, man. He shall go astray. Let me go back to that. It says, and the Lord smote the people with a very great plague, man. All throughout Egypt, the Lord was smiting in the wilderness the Israelites, man. Look who rose up against Moses, man. Abraham and Dathan and Abiram and all of the princes, man. Hundreds of princes coming together, right, to deny the works and following Yahweh Shem Yahushua by the hand of Moses. The Lord killed them with a great plague, man. And Phineas had to slew men, man. And the Lord had a very great plague and killed these men that flail lusting after meat. So the Lord lets you heap upon sin and he watches you in his wilderness, man. It says, and he called the name of that place Kirbath Habavah, because they were buried, right, the people that lusted. So the Lord buried them, man, and killed them and overthrew those men. Let me get this quick precept in the book of Numbers, chapter 15. This is Numbers chapter 15, and I'm going to start at verse number 30. It says, but the soul that doeth aught presumptuously. What does that mean, man? The soul that doeth aught presumptuously. Meaning the soul that wants to do what he wants to do, that doesn't want to follow order, that can't follow the shepherd, that can't be in order, right? You have to deny the flesh, man. To journey for 40 years in the hot sun, remembering all of the things the spiritual demon Satan, was putting in your mind to enjoy where you came out of, man. You have to endure that. And that soul that say, you know what, I can't be this determined. I can't follow. I can't be so structured, man. And he just does what he wants to do, whether he be born in the land or a stranger, the same reproach of the Lord. So you got to really remember when you go astray, you're reproaching the Lord, man. It's not just, I fell short. Oh, cover me with my sins. And then you start crying, man. Then the angels, they fly down and they pick you up. They strengthen you, man. Your favorite precept comes to life when you go off. You always want to think about the good precepts. It says, and that soul should be cut off from among his people, man. And who went off presumptuously? See, when brothers get to the second wilderness, this same spirit is going to rest on these same men because nobody knows how long the second wilderness is going to be. We just read through the spirit that the Lord is going to make moves when he wants to make moves, whether it be 2 days, whether it be a week, whether it be a month. How easy is it to start scoffing, man? Here Yahweh Shai is down the street and he's just sitting there. What's going on, man? Or he in the chariot. It's been 2 days, man. You heard something? Did you hear something? Is he still up there? You turn into the wicked Israel when Moses went up on the mount, man. And they start going the hell off. Going the hell off to moats, rises of voices. We don't know what becometh him. They seduced Aaron. Next thing you know, they start making a molten image, man. A calf beaten with gold from earrings and all precious things. Look how long it would take to sculpt a calf. And yet they did it so fast in 40 days, man. That was determination on the left-hand side. Staying up all night, thinking and crafting and moving and goldsmiths and beating, all of that on the left-hand side, man. Think how easy it is to go astray. Let me get this quick precept. Let's go to the mighty book, right? Let me get this real fast. In Numbers, chapter 21. This Numbers chapter 21 and verse 4. It says, and they journeyed, right, from Mount Horeb by the way of the Red Sea. So it says they journeyed, right? So this is the children of Israel, right, in ancient Egypt. Right, a picture through the spirit, right? Obviously not biblical, but nevertheless, it's a portrait. You have to put in mind all of the things we saw in ancient Egypt. When you read this book, you can't read it under a delusion and spell, falling asleep. You're thinking about your woman. You can't wait to drink. You can't wait to get off work. You think about work in the morning. You have to read this book and pull up visuals. You have to read this book, ask the Most High to put you there. Have your mind fixated on what actually happened, man. Now, if they were in Egypt, they must have been seeing the things in Egypt, the sculptures, the gold, the silver, the jasper, the unspeakable stones, the craftsmanship, the false gods, the deities, and most importantly, they saw sorcery, man. See, one thing that you have to remember of why the Israelites were so unbelieving and so short to be following the Lord a lot of the times and weren't impressed or weren't, because a lot of people say, well, how did they come out of the Red Sea and they saw the mighty wonders? And, how could they just go straight to unbelief that fast? Because of the things they saw in ancient Egypt, man. Think about it. If we didn't have a TV, a phone, a computer, if we didn't have a lighter, we could flick and fire would appear, and the Lord just made fire appear. I've seen a lighter before. That's not that impressive. The Lord kind of come out of nowhere and he's right in front of your face. Yeah, I had FaceTime. This Project Bluebeam. I've seen things like that. See, we're so addicted and adapted to sorcery, we couldn't perceive the mighty acts that the Lord was doing a lot of the times, man, because of the sorcery and mirage you were under the ancient Egyptians. That's the same spirit of today, man. See, when brothers see thunder, lightning, rain, they don't really, it's not really that appeasing, man. I've seen a white man's waterfall. I've seen his angels fly in the sky. I've seen bombs drop, man. I've seen the sorcery of America, and I've addicted my mind, been raised as an Egyptian, and now it's just not that serious to me. It's not that glorious to me, man. So as they were under the spell of the Egyptians, right, obviously in hard bondage, but their minds saw the glory of ancient Egypt, man, in its height. I don't want to get this real fast. So I mean, as we travel on foot from Goshen to Succoth, right, to the wilderness of Sin, the Palencia, the wilderness of Shur, right, the Sinai Palencia, right, to Merah, right, where the waters came about, making it up out of the Red Sea, to Elim, going all the way to Mount Horeb, Mount Sinai. And this is a very long journey, man. And you got to really perceive how much the Lord is going to lead you through in the last days. Now, yeah, this is physical. This was on foot. But you got to really think about this spiritually, man. You're going to lose your job. Your parents might pass away. Your congregation may fail. It may break up. False brethren is unaware. Evil agents. These are the things you're going to be led through to follow, man. Think how many people died in Meribah. How many people fell away in Succoth. How many strangers came about down in Mount Horeb, man, that couldn't make it, that fell away and became strangers. So a lot of the time when we read strangers in the scriptures, right, it wasn't because they grew out of the ground. They left. They bounced. They stepped off. And he said, I'd rather live this way. When you read Ruth, you know what happened? Let me get this quick precept in the book of Ruth. This is Ruth chapter 1 and verse, see, verse, I'm going to start at 18. And when she saw that she was steadfast minded to go with her, then she left speaking unto her. So they two went until they came to Bethlehem. And it was come to pass when they would come to Bethlehem that all the city was moved about them. And they said, is this Naomi? Like, is this Naomi? Where you been at, man? What's going on? When you read the first verse in the first chapter, now it came to pass in the days when the judges ruled that there was a famine in the land, and certain man of Bethlehem, Judah, went to sojourn in the country of Moab. Meaning he left. He went to go sojourn elsewhere. See, men could have left by thirst, left to go back to Egypt, left through their vanities, left through, their rebellion, not wanting to follow. There are many reasons a man could become a stranger, man. And many reasons brothers are going to fall out in the last days, man. Traveling through these strange doctrines, seeing false, wicked elders be revealed, and all type of things come about in Israel, man, to shake people out of the truth, have people to be firm in the truth. All these things are going to come about, man. Now, when you actually go into it, it says the length of the Red Sea selection, the Israelites cross, is estimated to be about 50 miles. This crossing was described in the Bible as an overnight, right, with the sea splitting. And when you actually going into it, right, the history of it, and kind of diving into it, that's about at least 12 to 15 hours to walk and or sprint, not sprint, but walk fast, whatever walking fast is called. Walk and or the speed walk 50 miles. It's around 12 hours to 15 hours. But the way we was moving at haste, we could have did it in 10 hours, 9 hours. So that's an estimated 50 miles, man. 50 miles you traveling. The Red Sea, as they paint it in Christianity, let me get this quick visual. Like they make it seem like it was down the street, man. Like it was right there, right? Anybody knows anything about a sea, it's deep, it's wide, it's long, you understand? And it's not easy to cross. They didn't just cross this thing out of nowhere. Then they just got right on the other side right here. That was a glorious account, man, that would never be forgotten. A day of renownness that crossed that Red Sea in fear as it opened up. But yet, in the midst of that, you still fell short through unbelief. The Lord is going to literally beam up men, take them in chariots. You're going to see the angels, place them back down in the wilderness, and they're still going to be purged out. The same glorious feat on a different level, on a different way, is going to come back. Let me get this in the book of Numbers, chapter 21. Get this quick precept. Numbers chapter 21 and verse 4. And they journeyed from Mount Horeb by the way of the Red Sea to the compass the land of Edom. And the soul of the people was much discouraged because of the way. They was much discouraged, man. Meaning what? They was tired. People were sleepy. People back probably hurt. Babies crying. Infants, banging on their mother's back, pulling hair, man. Brothers, when are we going to break? When I'm tired. People discouraged, by the way, man. And the people spake against God. So in the midst of the gloriousness, coming up out of Egypt, traveling, people, they get discouraged because they're taking so long. I want the kingdom now. That's the spirit that Peter, the apostle Peter, was talking about in 2 Peter, man. Let me get this real fast. The 3rd chapter. This is the book of 2 Peter chapter 3 and verse right number 3. Knowing this first, that there shall come in the last days scoffers, walking after their own lusts. It's not necessarily talking about the people on the highways and byways, even though it is. On a deeper level, these people were once in the truth. These scoffers. How do we know? Let's start at verse 1. This second epistle, beloved, I now write unto you, and both which I stir up your minds by way of pure remembrance, man. So the pure remembrance is ancient Egypt, the acts of our fathers and the things you've been through. You have to stir up your minds so that you don't faint on this journey, man. This journey just got started. It says that ye may be mindful of the words which are spoken by the holy prophets and of the commandment of us, the apostle of the Lord Yahweh Shai. Knowing this, first, that there shall come in the last days scoffers, walking after their own lust, and saying, where is the promise of his coming? Didn't you say he was going to come, man? What's taking so long? That's the same spirit of these men that got killed in Egypt, man. The men that don't get tired of watching, clicking a refresh button. They don't get tired of Yahweh Shai's name. They don't get tired of coming to the feast days. They want to do the work of the Most High. Their books are always open. They're always getting a new Bible. Those are the same spirits that are fervent to follow the Lord, man. It says, for since the fathers fell asleep, all things continued as they were from the beginning of the creation. It says, for this they willingly are ignorant of that by the word of God, the heavens of old, right, were of old, and the earth standing out of the water, right, and in the water, whereby the world that then was being overflowed with water perished. So Peter is saying those same men that scoffed about where's Yahweh, is those same generation that did the same thing in the time of Noah. Noah warned those people, man. Noah was a preacher of righteousness. There's no telling what Noah was saying, man. It's going to rain. Get your spirit together. Repent. Be on fire. Stop mocking. And what did they do? They laughed. They got drunk. In the days of Noah, they were marrying, having sex, doing wickedness, getting drunk, playing with fire, playing with sacrifices, man. Until that first drop hit them on the forehead, man. What's the first drop spiritually, man? That first bomb, that first alert, that first EMP attack, man. The first grid going on. And you know what gets real. Now you want to beseech the Lord, man. But guess what? Those 5 virgins, they don't have enough oil, man, for you. It says, whereby the world, right, that was being overflowed with water, perished. But the heavens, right, and the earth, which are now by the same word, are kept in store, reserved unto fire against the day of judgment and partition of ungodly men. The ungodly men are the men that can't wait, the men that aren't patient. It says, and the people spake against God and against Moses, wherefore have you brought us out of Egypt to die in the wilderness? For there is no bread, neither is there any water, and our soul loatheth this light bread. I mean, I'm tired of following Yahweh Shai. Tired of reading every day. I mean, it's been 4 years. I still don't have a wife. How long am I going to live a life of a eunuch, man? I feel like a virgin. How long am I going to be without a husband? How long am I going to be without a congregation? You know what? This is getting too difficult. I'm sweating too much. You start to lose patience, man. It said the soul loatheth this light bread, and the Lord sent fiery serpents among the people. So if it's one thing you can really understand, reading and going into the wilderness, is that the Lord purges out the rebels, man. And 2, when they say they remembered all of the things that were going on in Egypt, I want to get that real fast in the book of Numbers 11. They remembered all of the garlic, the cucumbers, right? They remembered all of the things that, appeased them. That's just like a wicked woman, man, or a wicked man, rather. A wicked woman. I don't need this. I can do what I want to do. Before I met you, I had this. Before I met you, I had that. It's what a nigga, wicked woman would do and say, man. It's what a child was. I'll go to my other parent's house, right? I'll go to grandma's house, right? Jake so quick to want to leave and do your own thing, man. That's Hosea, the 2nd chapter. Not perceiving and understanding how wicked that actually is, departing from the ordinances and the law and the leadership of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. This is Numbers chapter 11 and verse number 4. And the mixed multitude that was among them fell a lusting. Right? And those that came up out of Egypt, they fell a lusting, right? Right along to overtake and seduce the children of Israel. And the children of Israel also, right, wept again and said, who shall give us flesh to eat? Meaning the world, this precept is deep. The mixed multitude is these heathens, the ones in the world, man. They're going to fall a lusting. They're going to have you to remember about the concerts, the drinkings, the parties, the revelings, the banquetings, the things you used to do, man, your aspirations and goals. Then that spirit is going to hop on you. And then you should say what? Who shall give us flesh to eat? We remembered the fish, which we did eat in Egypt freely, the cucumbers and the melons and the leeks and the onions and the garlic. You know what else they remembered? Child sacrifice. And I'm going to touch on that too, because, a lot of the times, people really go into child sacrifice on a one-fold level, not understanding how deep it is. See, the children of Israel, they weren't idiots. They were wise. And the Lord said, we're wise to do evil, but to do good, we have no knowledge. But let me get a quick precept. And I'm going to touch on that. The wickedness of what we knew and how our minds were really in Egypt. Right? This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 4, right? In verse, I'm going to start at, this whole thing is fire. 21. How long shall I see the standard and hear the sound of the trumpet? For my people is foolish. How long am I going to warn you, man, before you get it together? For my people is foolish. They have not known me. They are Sodom's children. They have none understanding. They are wise to do evil. We can't skip over that part, man. People know how much tray 5 costs. They know how much, it is on a scale. If you want this, a cutie pie, half a baby. They know, somebody say $14 off. That don't sound right. Right? Somebody could eyeball some work, man. Somebody could put it and slap in their hand with straight cash, and somebody give them a hand shot right back. This don't feel right. Go get that straight. Stop playing with me, man. Somebody could look at Jordans from a block away and tell they fake. Somebody can eyeball fake jewelry. People are wise to do evil in this world, man. And wise to do evil on another spiritual level, on a deeper level, is witchcraft. See, the children of Israel, they were wise in the ancient customs of Egypt, man. I want to dive into that next, right? Right, let me get this real. Let me read this again. Let me read verse 6. But now our soul is dried away. So they looked at following the Lord and what the Lord gave them as what? Being dried away. And the Lord said in the book of, let me get this quick precept. In Luke, right, the 3rd chapter, it says, and the soldiers likewise demanded of him, saying, what shall we do? And he said unto them, do violence to no man, neither accuse any man falsely, and be content with your wages. See, people aren't content with the things they have. They want more, or they miss the things that they have. And it put a spirit on them, man. It's going to put a spirit on you when you start to lose things in the last days, man. And you really want to start thinking, is it that bad to go to the FEMA camp? I mean, what precept says I'm still keeping the commandments. I'm not breaking any laws, man. Then you gonna start, you gonna start making that noise. You gonna start making that noise, and next thing you know, man, you got a jumpsuit on. It says, but now our soul is dried away, and there is nothing at all beside this manna before our eyes. Man, let me get this real fast. Right, these are a couple of the ancient gods, right, of Egypt, man. Right, a lot of these were, chief gods, high gods. A lot of them were low-level gods, but nevertheless, you had Nonabis, right, which was a high-level god, right? Nonabis, also known as Epu, right? Ancient Egypt is the god of furnace rites, protector of graves, and a guide to the underworld in ancient Egypt. Now, how do we know the children of Israel knew about all of these ancient gods? How do we know? Because we knew about all of the presidents growing up, man. We knew about George Washington, Abraham Lincoln. We knew about all of the Spanish wars. Soon as you were born, they taught you and they forced you into their knowledge, their understanding. President's Day, man. They made you pledge allegiance, man. They had you to know about the flag, man. The 13 colonies, the 50 states. They had you to understand about the pilgrims. They forced down your throat Americanized history, man, without you saying yes or no to it. How much more to live in Egypt, to be born in Egypt for generations, for over 430 years, right? How wouldn't they not know all of the ancient hieroglyphs and the things that were on the walls? The things that their so-called masters and taskmasters praised, looked down, had symbols on that were hanging right across the street from the places that they lived and dwelled, man. So he was a protector of graves and a guide to the underworld. And I wanted to dive into that because, it's something called the Book of the Dead. Now, the Book of the Dead is really like a Bible for the Egyptians. It's called the Book of the Dead. In the Book of the Dead, it says, I'm gonna get, a couple of, it's a lot with it. I ain't gonna read, too much, but just diving into it, it says dead by various processes by embalming. So this is going into the ancient mind of the Egyptian and how they preserve bodies, how they praise the dead. And the Book of the Dead, sounds evil. Ooh, what is that? What does that mean? But it's actually their customs and their culture. A lot of people, they the East Indians, they put a dot on their head. The so-called fake Jew, they put, the cap on the top of their head. People have things that they do as their culture, obviously being false and evil, but it's something they were born and raised in and that they believe in. So it's not evil to them. This is an everyday type of lifestyle and way of living. Just like tattoos is to America. And we all fall short, not necessarily everybody, but a lot of people fall short to tattoos. Smoking. These things are a rite of passage as you become an adult, coming in and moving in the Americanized ways. It says dead by various process of embalming. The deposit of the dead body in the tomb was accompanied by ceremonies of symbolic nature in the course in which certain compositions comprising prayers, in short, lieutenants, etc., having reference to the future life. So they were praying, singing, chanting, and reciting by an ancient Egyptian priest over dead bodies. They would look up to these symbols and they would have the gods of this, the gods of, you have gods of thunder, god of evil, god of sacrifice, right? You have the god of dead, that a rite of passage. So you had a lot of wicked gods, right? Now the Bible touches on one, which is Molech, and I'm going to touch on that too, and the child sacrifice. It's not by chance we tripped and fell in the wilderness. We scratched our head 3 times and we said, this looks like a good idea. What would possess your mind to be able to want to do something like that? They would have had to know the benefits or what they thought was of doing that, the mindset of it, and what, the spirit of Egypt really brought out of that. It says, having reference to the future life, were recited by chants, by priests and relatives on the behalf of the dead, man. That's a seance. That's where you get witches, warlocks, deities, sacrifices, and all manner of macronences, man. And things on the left-hand side. That greatest importance was attached to such compositions in the belief that the recital would secure for the dead an unhinged passage to God in the next world, would enable him to overcome the opposition of all ghostly foes, would endow his body in the tomb with power to resist corruption. That's why they would wrap the body the way they would do. To preserve the flesh, they would embalm it, and then they would pray and recite over it with black magic and deities. This isn't something that they just did for fun. There was actually black magic in ancient Egypt, man. There were actually spirits and demons working with the ancient Egyptians. Who is the Egyptian today, man? The so-called white man, man. We're not going to whisper it. We're not going to send you a note and fold it up 3 times. We're not going to fold that paper plane and shoot it off to you, man, and hope you catch it. We're going to plainly say it's the so-called white man. Let me get this real fast in the book of Isaiah. This is Isaiah, right, chapter 19 and verse 1. This is the burden of Egypt. Behold, the Lord rideth upon a swift cloud. This is the same thing as Revelation chapter 19. This is the same account. The Lord coming to destroy America, the Lord coming into ancient Egypt on a swift cloud, meaning the chariot, and shall come into Egypt, and the idols of Egypt shall be moved at his presence. What does that mean? The idols of Egypt. Meaning ancient America, so like ancient Egypt is the same thing as America. Those same spirits and demons and those idols, those wizards and warlocks are going to be moved the same way those magicians and warlocks were moved during the time of ancient Egypt by the hand of Moses and the Heavenly Father using Yahweh Shah. And the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst thereof, man. So it's telling you that Egypt, which is America, all the idols shall be moved. Now, that's not literal. It's more like parabolical, showing you that they can't stand before the Lord. They're going to be moved out of its way. Just like all of the mountains are going to be turned upside down. It's not literal. All of the seas are going to be smitten. That's not literal. These things are going to be moved. All of the nations, all of the deities, all of the demons, all of the spirits, any and everything that's going to come up or try to stop or be in a way or an adversary to Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shah will be moved at his presence. Right? That's why the Lord said all kindreds shall well because of him. Even so. Right? Let me go back to it. Right? So like, bear with me. So you have Adonibus, you have Horus. right? Which is the God of kingship, right? Of this and healing and protection, the sun, the sky, and the moon. So you have Horus that would look down. Hathor was a major goddess in ancient Egyptian religion who played a wide variety of roles as a sky deity, a mother of sort, right? Horus and the sun god Ra, both of whom were connected with kingship. You know, Horus, the fertility god, Basket, right? Also known as Abasai, right? The goddess of ancient Egyptian religion, possibly Nubian origin, worshipped early in the second dynasty, right? Or, like I said, there's a lot of wickedness that comes with these false gods. And a lot of them was astrology. Like as you diving into it, you have Nut, you have Ra, also was going into the noonday, the sun, Ra, Horus, Nut, Horus. These gods were that's why Abraham said he left the way of his ancestors. When you go to the book of Judith. Let me get this quick precept. This is Judith chapter. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. Five and 8. It says, "For they left the way." Matter of fact, I'm gonna start at verse number 6. This people are descendants of the Chaldees, right? It says they sojourn herefore too into Mesopotamia because they would not follow the gods of their fathers, which were in the land of Chaldee. What were the gods of the Chaldeans? The moon. That was the god of the Chaldees, the god of sin, the ancient Mesopotamian god of sin. Mesopotamian god of sin. Let me see. The Mesopotamian religion, Sin, Sherherd, Nana, was the god of the moon, fertility, and wisdom. So, I mean, from the time even before Egypt, it was a heavy spirit of the earth going into what? Wickedness of things you can't understand. The Lord's works, the sun, the moon, the stars, the constellations, right? The shooting stars, the blood moons, the eclipses. This is what Abraham's fathers were worshiping, man. You know, and they were looking up to that. You even have today shooting stars and make a wish and do this and do that. That's wickedness. Let me go back to that. It says, which were in the land of Chaldee, for they left the way of their ancestors. That's the same thing they did in ancient Egypt. We left the way of our ancestors. We stopped following the Lord. On a deeper level, that's why the Lord picked Abraham, man. Abraham was blameless. While everybody else was going off, worshiping the deities and the Mesopotamian gods and worshiping the constellations, right? Abraham, he stayed true. And he worshiped the only living God, man, the invisible God, man. It says, and the God whom they knew, so they cast him out from the face of their gods, and they fled into Mesopotamia and sojourned there many days, man. Right? So Abraham kept true. Noah kept true. It's always a remnant of who the Lord picks, right? That doesn't get overtaken by these strange gods. Like I said, we're not going to read all of these, but nevertheless, probably get like two more, right? Of these gods, man. A deity creator of God, a Patreon deity of craftsmen, right? So they would chalk it up of their gods and the things that they worshiped, right? That says, how did Egyptians wrap bodies in tombs? And I really wanted to get into this. It says these cells process brain removal, right? The brain, Salakia, bear with me. That's Satan. Okay, Khan. Right? Let me see if I can find it again. I was just looking at it. That's Satan. But nevertheless, they would have rapping, they would remove the brain. They would do all of these sick things to this body, you know, for the sake of the gods and the things that they worship, being that that's the way that they would, so-called cleanse it and purify it on its way to the next world. I want to read a little bit more on this. It says, at a very remote period, this is the book, right, of the dead, certain groups of sections or chapters already become associated with some of the ceremonies which preceded actual burial. And these eventually became distinctive rituals which clearly define limits side by side. However, this ritual, right, there seemed to have existed another larger work, which was divine, right, into an indefinite number of sections or chapters, comprising chiefly prayers. So, I mean, like we read earlier on in this book, they had priests and they would pray over things. That's how sorcery works. Every ancient person, king, noble, governor, leader, they always had priests and divine wizards in their kingdom. Under Nebuchadnezzar II, he had magicians. Under Pharaoh, he had magicians. But don't think America is any different, man. That they don't have wizards, warlocks, magicians, and that they don't cover it up with what? Prayers. Because that's what the ancient Egyptians did. They prayed, right? Everyone has their own gods, right? That's why the great false prophet that it speaks about in the book of Revelation is going to be cast in a furnace of fire, man. It says, with dealt on a larger scale with the welfare of departed in the next world, right? Title, Book of the Dead. So we're not going to read, too much of this. But I mean, you have to know these things, man. The more you know about, I would say, wickedness and where it derives from, the more it can't control your mind or seduce you. The less you know about it, the more you be intrigued and be more inclined to believe it, right? But let me get this real fast. You had Cocoon, right? Khnum, which is the Egyptian god of fertility, right? Which is where you would get the modern day American ram god. This is the modern day American ram god, right? Where they would get satanic emblems, right? And all type of mischief to do sacrifices on. This is nothing more than ancient Egypt all over again, right? And let me get this quick precept. And then following the Lord, our minds start to, remember these things, man. Because once Jake is in bondage and that comfortability is removed from him, he's not in the heat and, ooh, you got a good woman when you don't have nothing and she really loves you for who you are, man. That's a good woman. When you only got a woman that's there for you when you got money, a house, shelter, paying her bills, that's not the sister you want, man. You think the Lord wants us as a wife when we can't go through things, man? We're betrothed unto him. This is the book of Exodus, chapter 6. And I'm going to start at verse number 9, right? It says, and Moses spake so unto the children of Israel, meaning he breaking it down and giving them the truth. But they hearkened not unto Moses for anguish of spirit and cruel bondage. And it's something, I can't take it, man. See, when your back getting beat, you don't want to listen, man. You and your woman, y'all not seeing eye to eye, but you giving her, direction through the spirit. she should be able to follow that, man. She shouldn't just follow you when y'all on good times. She only wants to listen when it's money in a bank account, man. She only wants to listen when you got your hair cut. She only wants to listen when the lights are cut on. How can you lead a woman through the valley of the shadow of death where there's no light, there's no help, there's no guidance if she don't trust you, man? How you going to follow Yahweh in places to where you don't see, you don't know where you're going? This is the cruel anguish of spirit that we dealt with. Why are we in ancient Egypt? Why are we getting our backs beat? Why are we working all day? Where the hell are we going? There's no answers being answered, man. Nobody's helping you. Nobody's rubbing your back. You got to deal with it. It says, for anguish of spirit and cruel bondage. Let me go to the book of Exodus chapter 4. And the Lord foresaw the stubbornness of the children of Israel as the signs and wonders before he even did them. In Exodus chapter 4. So Exodus chapter 4 and I'm going to start at verse 4, right? I'm going to start at 3. And he said, cast it on the ground, and he cast it on the ground and became a serpent. And Moses fled from before it. And the Lord said unto Moses, put forth thine hand and take it by the tail. And he put forth his hand and caught it, and it became a rod in his hand, that they may believe that the Lord thy God of their fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob have appeared unto thee. That should have been a closed chapter, end of the chapter 4. It shouldn't have been what if after that. The Lord said that literally this shall be the sign. But yet we need another sign. Not only did we need another sign, we needed a third sign, man. Jake don't believe. Even if an angel tapped you on the shoulder that says something spiritual that only you know, man. You wouldn't even tell nobody in the world. Kept it locked up in your reins, in your mind, man. Not even your mother or your father knows this. Somebody tap you on the shoulder and say something spiritual, man. When you fell in the 7th grade, you turned around and you thought that thought, it wasn't true. Have faith. Then he just disappeared, man. Then the very next day, you wake up with denial. That's how Israel is, man. And the Lord said, the Jews seeketh for a sign. Let me get that in 1 Corinthians. So, I mean, it just shows you the rebelliousness in the wilderness, man. Don't let these signs in this wilderness go over your head, man. Let me get this real fast. This is the book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 1, right? In verse, I'm going to start at 21. For after that, in the wisdom of God, right, the world by wisdom knew not God, man. See, the world doesn't know the Lord. It pleased God by the foolishness of preaching to save them that believe. Why is it the foolishness of preaching? Because it's foolish to them that don't believe, man. It's foolish to think that, this man is going to repent, or it's foolish in the sight of the wise. That's why it's called the foolishness of preaching, because it's deemed foolish by other men. Me having a damn rag on my head, my shirt dingy in the rain. I'm talking to nobody at all, but I'm shaking my hand out of the joint. Nobody understands what I'm talking about. People look at me like a madman. Nobody believes me, man. That's the foolishness of preaching. It says, for the Jews require a sign. And not only do you want a sign, you want multiple signs, man. Look at Gideon, man. The Lord said, the Lord is with thee, thou mighty man of valor. In the book of Judges, man. Right? The 6th chapter. But what happened? Oh, Lord. And that's happened to me multiple times, man. It's probably happened to you multiple times. We're created this way. But we have to shake this demon in his spirit to cleave in the wilderness. Lest the Lord has you to wander off, man. This is the book. Let me get this quick precept. In the book of Judges, chapter 12, Salakia, chapter 6 and verse 12. And the angel of the Lord, right, appeared unto him, and said unto him, the Lord is with thee, thou mighty man of valor. And Gideon said unto him, O my Lord, and if the Lord be with us, why then is all this befallen us? You start to question too much, man. And where be all his miracles which our fathers have told us? mean, didn't the Lord open the Red Sea? Didn't the Lord, rain down? Why don't see any new miracles, any new signs? Saying, did not the Lord bring us up from Egypt? But now the Lord hath forsaken us and delivered us into the hand of the Midianites. See, that was his mindset, man. The Lord's not with us. The Lord forsook us. If the Lord was really with us, why didn't he do this? Why didn't he do that? It's called being patient, man. It's called enduring the wilderness. It's called being a follower and a sheep and a lamb of Yahweh Shai and following the shepherd, whatsoever he goeth, man. Even though Peter went off and he denied the Lord, he still followed the Lord, man, to see what becometh of him, man, and warmed his hands. He wanted to stand by the fire. You may go off and you may double think, but in the back of your spirit, you still following the Lord, man. Right, Lord willing, we grow into a better stature over time, like Peter did as an elder, and die with honor, man. That's what we want to do. At some point, you should be able to mature in the spirit. Certain things shouldn't shake you anymore, man. And if it still does, that's something to examine. If something from the very first moment to the very first time right now is still bothering you, that's something you got to examine, man, deep down within yourself. Because that should mean one or two things. You don't believe Yahweh Shai can remove these things, or you're not growing in the spirit. Can't really look at it any other way. You're not growing in knowledge and wisdom and mentally in the stature of Yahweh Shai to perceive and have discernment, and/or you don't believe the things that you're actually praying for, man. And denial is going to creep in. These things are going to creep in as you're in this wilderness, man. And the Lord is going to separate, the rebels from them that actually want to follow him. Right? Let me go back to the book of Exodus, chapter 4. Right? And I'm going to start at, right, verse number 5. And that they may believe that the Lord God of their fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob have appeared unto thee. And the Lord said furthermore to him, put now thy hand into thy bosom. And he put his hand into his bosom, and when he took it out, behold, his hand was leprous as snow. And he said, put forth thine hand into thy bosom again. And he put his hand into his bosom again and plucked it out of his bosom. And behold, it was turned as his other flesh. And it shall come to pass, if they will not believe thee. Why wouldn't they believe a rod being turned into a serpent, man? Neither hearken unto the voice of thy first sign, that they will believe the voice of thy latter sign. So, why do you have to do all of these miracles, man? Why does this need to be done for you to follow the Lord, man? That's why this is the generation of faith. See, the Lord proved his valiantness. He done raised and broken up the earth and had an earthquake, man, and swallowed the souls up in it. He had split the Red Sea. The Lord is not a genie. When you rise up, O mortal man, when you have denial and problems, and he shows his valiantness, man. You don't play with the creator like that, man. You have one opportunity, right, to really believe the things that he shows you. And if you're not really, gravitating toward the spirit of the Lord ain't just going to the Lord ain't doing tricks for you, man. The Lord is omnipotent. He's the king. It says, and it shall come to pass, if they would not believe, also these two signs, neither hearken unto the voice that thou shalt take of the water of the river. And that's spiritual because this kicks off the first plague. Meaning, even the first plague, they didn't perceive. It's really damn near 13 plagues, man. Not necessarily a plague on the Egyptians, but signs rather. It didn't understand the rod. Don't really give a damn about skin changing. Nobody cares about the voice of Moses, and to the point where, the Lord is showing signs and wonders on the heathens. And it's like, what else can I do, man? That's what the Lord is saying in first Esdras. Let me get this quick precept. Right? Let me get this quick precept. Right? And it's becoming that people get destroyed because, at a certain point, the Lord said a man that is a heretic after the first and second admonition reject. And that's so spiritual because it's only so much you could bear with somebody. Salaki, is this what I want? I want second Esdras. Second Esdras chapter 1. in verse number 9. I'm going to start at 8. Pull thou off the hair of thy head and cast all thy evil upon them, for they have not been obedient unto my law, but is a rebellious people. How long shall I forbear them, unto whom I have done so much good, man? Many kings have I destroyed for their sakes. Pharaoh with his servants, and all his power have I smitten down. All the nations have I destroyed before them. And in the east have I scattered the people to Providence, even of Tyrus and Sidon, and have slain all their enemies. I mean, what more can I do? I done showed you the pillar of fire. I done showed you all these signs. Right? Even Sirach talked about it in the spirit. Let me get Sirach chapter 36. It's Sirach chapter 36 in verse 3. Lift up thy hand against the strange nations, and let them see thy power. And as thou was sanctified in us before them, so thou be magnified amongst them before us. So, Sirach is praying that the same way you destroyed the ancient Egyptians, you was rised up in your power, you showed your valiantness, do that again in the latter days, man. Have us to believe the same things we read about. Stir up our spirits, man. Let me see something. It says, and let them know thee as we have known thee, man. Let these nations know the things that I know about the Lord, man. That there is no God but only thou, O Yahweh. It's the point. Shew new signs. In the last days, we want, Jake want to believe this truth, but spirits is going to hop on brothers, and brothers are going to turn back away, man. Oh man, this is getting boring, man. Just go to camp every single weekend, man. Just keep yelling at this pink man, man. This pink man. All you do is yell at the pink man and the red man. What else is to this truth, man? So all we got to eat is unleavened bread. Keep playing the same truth music, man. The same 15 truth artists, man. Get sick of it. You start scratching and itching, and you start going back to that old man. Right, let me get the book of Isaiah. I'm going to come back to this precept. Let's go to Isaiah, right? Chapter 28. It's Isaiah chapter 28. And I'm going to start at verse. Matter of fact, I may read this in another translation. Right? I'm going to read this in another translation. This is the book of Isaiah chapter 28. And I'm going to start at 19. It will strike you again and again, morning after morning. You will have to bear it day and night. Each new message from God will be bringing a new terror, man. Say each new message from God, meaning the Lord is going to show new things, man. Don't think the Lord has hid himself and the Lord won't do anything, man. Right? And the Lord said each new message, this message is really talking about a sign from God will bring, new terror. You will be like a person in a proverb who has tried to sleep in a bed too short to stretch on, with a blanket too narrow to wrap himself in. The Lord will fight as he did in Mount Perazim, man. You're going to see the Lord, man. You're going to see the Lord rise up. But you have to be patient enough to bear to see the salvation, man. And everybody isn't going to do that. Let me read it again. It's Isaiah chapter 28 in verse number 19. I'm going to start at 21. But the Lord shall rise up in Mount Perazim. He shall be wroth as in the valley of Gibeon. And they may do his work, his strange work, and bring to pass his act, his strange act, man. So the Lord got things he's going to do in the latter days. He's going to have things, come about in the spirit in the last days that man knoweth not. Right? I'm going to get this quick precept in Ezekiel. Right? Going into the wilderness. This is Ezekiel chapter 20. Right? And I'm going to start at verse number 27. Therefore, son of man, speak unto the house of Israel, and say unto them, thus saith the Lord God, yet in this your fathers have blasphemed me, and that they have committed a trespass against me. What's the trespass we committed against the Lord, man? For when I had brought them right into the land for the which I lifted up mine hand to give it to them, then they saw every high hill and all the thick trees, and they offered their sacrifices, and there they presented their provocation of their offering. Now, what is this on a modern day term? Yeah, they physically went to the land, they peeped out a high hill, but what is this spiritually, man? You walking around, you seeing all of the bright lights, man. All of the things to allure your eyes, to give your soul and your heart into. A sacrifice. See, a sacrifice doesn't always have to be you slit a throat, snap a finger, you snap a head, you throw it on the altar, man. See, we sacrifice every day, man. Whether it's a savor well-pleasing unto the eyes of the Most High, or whether it's a stinking savior, like 2 Corinthians, man. 2:15 all the way down. And I want to get that real fast. Let me see. So I can bear with me. Child sacrifice. All right. Now you would have the children of Israel, they sacrifice right to the spiritual demon Melech, right? Which was the god, right, of child sacrifice. Now, why would they do this? Well, what's the becoming of putting your child through the fire? Right. And first and foremost, the firstborn is supposed to be given to the Lord, man. So to take your firstborn and dedicate it unto the spiritual demon Satan is blasphemy. It's wicked and evil. There's nothing more pure than your lineage and your firstborn. There's nothing more pure on the earth, really on a carnal sense, than a baby. A baby is fresh. They just came from the third heaven. Like the Lord said in Psalms 51, I'm shapen in iniquity, and in the womb have my mother and sin have my mother conceived me, paraphrasing extremely greatly. So we're born into sin. That's Sirach 40 in verse 1. Heavy yoke is placed upon the sons of Adam from the day they come up about their mother's womb to the day they go to the mother of all things. So I'm not saying a baby doesn't sin, but as pure as you can be in the flesh, that's why everybody gravitates to a newborn. They want to hold it, hug it, love it, cradle it, They want to drink milk. It's so spiritual, man. The Lord liketh being born again to a baby, having fresh skin and eyes and shrooms and coming about the strength, bones growing. All of this is spiritual. To take and I'm going to read that too. Verse 29 says, Then I said unto them, what is the high places unto ye go? And the name thereof is called Bamoth unto this day. Whereof say ye to the house of Israel, thus saith the Lord God, are ye polluted after the manner of your fathers, and committed ye whoredom after their abominations? For when ye offer your gifts, when ye make your sons to pass through the fire, you pollute yourselves with all your idols, even unto this day. So the Lord said that you did what? You polluted his name. You sacrificed unto idols. You gave gifts and you passed your sons through the fire. Now, on a deeper level, and I'm going to dive into this on a spiritual level, the Lord liketh what? Israel to be the firstborn. Right? Let me get that real fast. Let's go to Exodus chapter 4. But before I get that, I'm going to get Exodus chapter 13, just to go into that firstborn. It's the book of Exodus chapter 13, verse 2. Sanctify unto me all the firstborn. What was happening when Samuel was born, man? Did not his mother want to give him unto the Lord all the days of his life, man? When you read Samuel, when he was born. See, it was spiritual. Let me get this real fast. It's the book of 1 Samuel 1 and 11. And she vowed a vow and said, O Yahweh of hosts, if thou wilt indeed look on the affliction of thine handmaid and remember me and not forget thine handmaid, but I will give unto thy handmaid a man child then will I give him unto the Lord all the days of his life, and there shall no razor come upon his head. Talking about a Nazarite, but on another level, it's giving your child into the Lord. The firstborn always belongs into the Lord. So Yahweh Shah being the first creation, the son is given to the Lord with so much preeminence, man. Any man that has a son and a firstborn son, and or a son that's his first son, that's his heir, man. The Lord looking at us as being what? His son. Yahweh Shai is the only begotten son. So going back to Exodus, sanctify unto me all the firstborn. So it's deeper than just sacrifices in Egypt. It's deeper than just going off and just wanting riches. You're taking the laws, you're perverting them, and you're giving preeminence to Satan and in Egypt and in the ways and customs other than the precepts and the knowledge of the Most High. Sanctify to me the firstborn. Whatsoever openeth the womb, right, among the children of Israel, both man and beast, it is mine. So what did the Lord do? People were going off. They weren't doing this. They were doing child sacrifice. They was being evil. They was going the hell off. Let's go to Numbers chapter 18. This is Numbers chapter 18, and let's start at verse 15. And after that, shall the Levites go in, right? Let me start at 14. Thus shall thou separate the Levites from amongst the children of Israel, and the Levites shall be mine. And after that, shall the Levites go in and do the service of the tabernacle of the congregation, and thou shalt cleanse them and shall offer them for an offering. So the Levites is the offering. The Levites now become what? The firstborn. We're supposed to be an offering unto the Lord. You took that in witchcraft and gave your sons and your daughters. You're supposed to be an offering. You're supposed to die for the Lord, man. You're supposed to live for the Lord, be given to the Lord, be led by the Lord as an offering for war, sanctification, to do the service in the tabernacle, to die valiantly. But you have taken that and had the innocency of your heir to be what? Under the fire of Satan. So the Levites are what? They're really the offering. They've now become the firstborn. Who are the Levites? The priests. Who are the priests? Right? Who's the priest? Yahweh Shai. So it's like the law is linking up to Yahweh Shai on another level because the firstborn are the children of Israel. From the children of Israel, it moved to the Levites, right, being the firstborn, right? And I'm going to get that real fast in Numbers chapter 3. And what lacked from the Levitical priests, Yahweh Shah already being the firstborn, which is what? The order of Melchizedek from old came about under the order of Melchizedek because he was already the firstborn. This is Numbers chapter 3. I'm going to get this real fast in verse number 45. Take the Levites instead of all, right, the firstborn among the children of Israel, and all slaki and the cattle of the Levites instead of their cattle, and the Levites shall be mine. I am the Lord. Right. So what happened? Right, we passed it under the fire. Right. I'm gonna get this real fast. Child sacrifice in ancient Egypt. Look at this. Right, for all you Jakes out, I can't believe how wicked we was. How could we do such things? Whether people are doing the same things to this very day. That's why it was the ancient spirit, in the elder world of, Abraham and Isaac, you know, even and I believe that's Judges 11, tried to offer up his daughter, man. I could be mistaken. Yeah, this is Judges chapter 11 in verse, right? I mean, this whole thing is fire, right? But I'm gonna start at really want to just get to the point. I'm gonna start at verse number 38. And he said, go, and he sent her away for 2 months. And she went with her companions and bewailed her virginity upon the mountains, man. So she knew that, her father opened up his mouth, man. And that vow kind of caught up with him. It says, and it came to pass at the end of 2 months that she returned unto her father, right, who did with her according to his vow, which he had vowed, and she knew no man, and it was the custom of Israel, that the daughter of Israel went yearly to lament the daughter of Jethro, the Gileonite, 4 days in a year. So, I mean, that ancient spirit of offering up your firstborn, you even read about that in Micah, man, the 6th chapter. We get that real fast in the book of Micah. So it's a heavy spirit with sacrifice, on the left-hand side. It's Micah chapter 6, and I'm going to start at verse number 6. It said, well, withal shall I come before the Lord and bow myself before the high God? Shall I come before him with burnt offerings, with calves a year old? Would the Lord be pleased with 1,000 of rams, or with 10,000 rivers of oil? Shall I give my firstborn, right, for my transgression, the fruit of my body for the sins of my soul, man? So you took that, going back to Ezekiel, hit this quick precept, verse 20 and verse 31. For when ye offer your gifts, when ye make your sons to pass through the fire, ye pollute yourselves with all your idols, even unto this day. And shall I be inquired of by you, O house of Israel? As I live, saith the Lord, I would not be inquired of by you. Now you got to think of what it means to be inquired of by you. That's talking about the Lord will answer you by a prophet. When you read Ezekiel chapter 20, verse 3, it says, Son of man, speaking to the elders of Israel, saying to them, Thus saith the Lord God, are ye come to inquire of me? As I live, saith the Lord, I would not be inquired of by you, man. Not listening to you. All of your wickedness and your evil that you did, man. You think I'm listening to you? Right? Jumping down to verse 35. And I will bring you into the wilderness of the people, and there will I plead with you face to face, like as I pleaded with your fathers in the wilderness of the land of Egypt. So the Lord said he's going to plead with the children of Israel the same way he did in ancient Egypt, man. The Lord come down and, kind of deal with you, take out a pen and a pad and a scroll, look you in your eyes. It's not what this is talking about. I'm going to get this quick precept. Matter of fact, I'm going to come back to that precept. I don't want to lose this point. Like as I pleaded with your fathers, right, in the wilderness of the land of Egypt, so will I plead with you, saith the Lord God. And I will cause you to pass under the rod, and will bring you into the bond of the covenant. And I will purge out from among you the rebels. So rebels have to be purged out. Witchcraft is evident, it's serious. And it's most definitely not anything that, like I said earlier, we haven't known or known of. I'm going to get this quick precept in Wisdom of Solomon. It's Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14, right? And I'm going to start at 23, right? I'm going to start at 22. Moreover, this was not enough for them, that they erred in the knowledge of God, but whereas they lived in the great war of ignorance. And that's spiritual because, Jake is always warned about what's the truth. Is it Islam? Is it Christianity? What camp? You always warn in ignorance and you err from the knowledge of God. So those great plagues, they call peace, right? You call them, smitten and smitten peace, for which they slew their children in sacrifices or used secret ceremonies. Where were they getting this knowledge in ancient Egypt? The Lord said, let me get this quick precept in Acts. Wasn't Moses raised right in the ways of ancient Egypt, in the knowledge thereof? This is Acts chapter 7, right? And I'm going to start at, this whole thing is fire. I'm going to start at verse, let's see what I want. I'm going to start at 30, let me see. Start at 40, right? So I can bear with me. I'm going to start at verse 33. Then said the Lord unto him, put off thy shoes from thy feet, for the place where thy standest is holy ground. I have seen, right? I have seen the affliction of my people, which is in Egypt, and I have heard their groaning, and I am come down to deliver them. And now come, I will send thee into Egypt. This Moses, whom they refuse, saying, who made thee a ruler and a judge, the same that God sent to be a ruler and a deliverer, right by the hand of the angel which appeared unto him in the bush. He brought them out after that he had shewed wonders and signs in the land of Egypt, in the Red Sea, in the wilderness 40 years. This is that Moses, which the children of Israel, a prophet, shall the Lord your God raise up unto your brethren, like unto me, right? Him shall ye hear. This is he who was in the church in the wilderness, with the angel which spake unto him in Mount Sinai, right, with our fathers, who received the lively oracles to give unto us, right? To whom our fathers would not obey, but thrust him from them into their hearts and turn back into Egypt. That's wicked, man. See, during the time of ancient Egypt, we wanted to go back into Egypt. During the time of this Egypt, which is America, we want to go back into America. During the time of the Chaldeans and the Babylonian Empire, we wanted to flee into Egypt, man. You can read about that in Jeremiah chapter 42. During the time of the Assyrians. When is it a time we don't want to flee back into Egypt, man? It's a demon and a spirit of that ancient spirit resting on our fathers because it's the same generation over and over and over. You can't stop fleeing and loving is being seduced by that same demon from old, man. It's the book of Jeremiah, chapter 20, it's like 42, in verse number 13. But if ye say we will not dwell in this land, neither obey the voice of the Lord your God, saying, no, but we will go into the land of Egypt, where we shall see no war, hear no sound of the trumpet, nor have hunger of bread, and there will we dwell. That's always in mind, man. Want to relax, man. Well, we got to do all of this, man. Brother, the only way we're going to get our land, get peace on the earth, wars cease, our women to stop being whores, our brothers to actually be prophets and noblemen and rulers, is to do what, man? It's to go through suffering, travel through Egypt, endure the elements, man. It says, and now, therefore, hear the word of the Lord, ye remnant of Judah. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel. If ye wholly set your faces to enter into Egypt and go sojourn there, then it shall come to pass that the sword which ye feared shall overtake you there at the land of Egypt, and in the famine whereof you were afraid shall follow close after you in Egypt, and there shall ye die. Let me get this quick point real fast. I was going to bring this out earlier. You have something called the mirage, right? An optic illusion caused by atomic fair Salakia conditions, especially the appearance of a sheet of water in a desert on a hot road caused by refraction of light from the sky to be heated of air. So it's basically saying it's so hot that you start seeing water, man. It's so hot, you start seeing water. See, Egypt is the fiery furnace. See, Egypt is also known as a fiery furnace, right? This is Deuteronomy 4 and 20. But the Lord have taken you and brought you forth out of the iron furnace, even out of Egypt, to be unto him a people of an inheritance, right, as ye are this day. So what is Egypt also known as? A furnace of heat. It's so hot in Egypt. You're so smitten with madness. You're so under a delusion. You're so bugged out. You're so in this world. Your mind is so far gone that you actually think you see water, man. And I'm going to pull that back up. Let me see. Bear with me. You actually think you see water because you're in this mirage. You're in the iron furnace. And it's befitting through the spirit that you see a mirage spiritually. Start seeing water, laughs. Maybe this ain't that bad. Start getting drunk. Start laughing and joking and start having fun, man. Hey, that's literally first Esdras, the 3rd chapter. Let me get this real fast. It's first Esdras, right, chapter 3. And this whole thing is fire. Necessarily read all of this. Right. I'm gonna start at 18. And he saith thus, O ye men, how exceedingly strong is wine. It causeth all men to err that drink it. It says it maketh the mind of the king and of the fatherless child to be all one, and the bondman and of the free man. So wine makes a bondman think he's a free man. When you drink so much, you start to think you free, man. You talk to a brother, as teachers, brothers that go out there and labor, you pose a question from time to time. Right? You may say, hey brother, you think you free? Brother, when we still in captivity, some people would just be proud and say, I'm not a captive. I got a good job. Huh. Right, then they fix their bow tie. Right, they got a backpack. Right, they got some type of fancy car. Right, they making, 6 figures. It makes a broke man think he's rich. Makes a bond man think he's free. It says, and the poor man, right, and of the rich. It turneth also every thought into jolly. Meaning nobody wants to be serious in America. Nobody wants to be austere. Nobody wants to be stern. You look at the average so-called black man, only thing they want to do is have fun. And the average black woman, every thought you think is jollity, fun, turning up, drink, drugs. It's not about reading, knowledge. There's no house of mourning and mirth, so that a man remembereth neither sorrow nor death, man. You don't remember ancient Egypt. You don't remember, like the Lord said, remember the days of old, man. Right? The years of ancient times. It says, it maketh every heart rich, so that a man remembereth neither king nor governor. Meaning you forgot Yahweh Shai. Yahweh Shai is known as the king and he's known as a governor. And it maketh to speak all things by talents. And when they are in their cups, they forget the love both to friends and brethren. And a little after draw out swords. Check this out. But when they are from the wine, they remember not what they have done. And that's spiritual, man. See, when that strong drink gets removed from you, right, or whatever the case may be, says they remember not what they have done. You don't remember all the things you've erred in, being drunk. O ye men, is not wine the strongest that enforceth to do thus? And when he have spoken, he held his peace. So this mirage is serious, man. Look at this, the effects, right? What is the feeling of a mirage? Delusion, illusion, hallucination, right? Start hallucinating and thinking that these nations are actually your friends. You see the illusion of a better life in America. You're under the delusion and thinking that voting in the things of this life will bring you prosperity. Mirage meaning something that is believed to be true or real. The Lord said, deferred hope maketh the heart sick, man. And Jake been hoping too long. Let me get this quick precept, man. In Proverbs. Get this quick precept. It said, hope deferred maketh the heart sick. But when the desire cometh, it is a tree of life. So what's the desire that's coming? The kingdom, this truth, prophecies. It's yielding a tree of life. But the hope and the vanity, it's going to make your heart sick, man. It's going to overthrow you. It's not going to be anything for your welfare. Right? So, I mean, the effects of it, it says something that is believed to be real, right? True or real, but that is actually false or unreal. Delusions imply ability to distinguish between what is real and what seems to be real, often as a result of disorder state of mind. What's a disorder state of mind? Being drunk, being overthrown, man. So, I mean, when you're in this wilderness, again, through the spirit, and as you keep the feast of unleavened bread, purge out sin, examine yourself, think about these accounts, be fervent in the spirit. Don't let the spiritual demon, Satan, and trials and tribulations and things overwhelm your mind and sift you out, man. Brothers are losing jobs. Brothers is catching hell. Satan is dividing households. It's a lot of hell brothers catching, and so much righteousness on the earth, man. And it's only going to get worse. Right, let me get like 2 more precepts and I'm closing out. Let me get this quick precept. It's the book of Job, chapter 22. And I'm going to start at, right, verse number 23. If thou return to the Almighty, thou shalt be built up. Thou shalt put away iniquity far from thy tabernacles. Then thou shalt lay up gold as dust. It's not necessarily literal. The gold as dust is the knowledge of Yahweh. It's more searchable and seekable than fine gold. You're going to lay things up, meaning the acts you do is going to be laid up in the third heaven. That's the gold you're laying up. You're not laying up physical coins of gold and talents, man, so that you can lust in the kingdom and grab it up like Donald Duck in a cartoon, man. It's not literal. If you lay up gold, man, you're laying up the things that you're going to have to enjoy in the future, man. You know, land, slaves, dominion, power, glory, rulership, immortality. These things are being laid up by the acts you do by coming back to the Most High and repenting, man, and becoming a virgin in the spirit and the elect. It says, in the gold of Ophir as the stones of the brooks. Yea, the Almighty shall be thy defense, and thou shalt have plenty of silver. For then thou shalt have thy delight in the Almighty. Then thou shalt lift up thy face unto Yahweh. Thou shalt make thy prayer unto him, right? And he shall hear thee. And thou shalt pay thy vows. Thou shalt also decree the thing, and it shall be established unto thee. And the light shall shine upon thy ways. That's what brothers are seeking for in the last days, man. And the Lord said in the wilderness, the Lord maketh this light to shine upon you, man. And Numbers the 6th chapter. And that's and the Lord not saying that for fun, man. That light is Yahweh Shai, these laws. It will shine upon you when you keep them, man. Right? This is the book of Numbers, chapter 6 and verse 25. The Lord maketh his face shine upon thee and be gracious unto thee. The Lord lifteth up his countenance upon thee and give thee peace. Right? Now, let me get the classic. Let's go to Revelation 3, but I'm going to read it in another translation. Right? This is Revelation chapter 3 and verse 1. It says, this is the message from the one who has the 7 spirits of God and the 7 stars. I know what you are doing. I know what you have a reputation of being alive, even though you are dead, man. This is one of the scariest things you could read. A reputation of being alive. So you can fool your husband. You can fool your wife. You can fool your congregation. You can even fool yourself, man, and be under a delusion. But you can't fool the Most High. It says, so wake up and strengthen what you still have, for it dies completely. For I find that what you have done is not yet perfect in the sight of my God. Remember then what you were taught and what ye heard, and obey it. What does this mean? The rudiment, the principal works, the principal acts. The very first thing, remember it. Remember what you was taught, man, and lay hold of that. That's essentially what made you be on fire. Wasn't all these strange doctrines and different clothes and different garments you keep trying on, man. That's not stirring up the spirit. And the Lord said, remember what you were taught and what ye have heard. Obey it and turn from your sins. If ye will not wake up, we'll read that again. If you will not wake up, I will come unto you like a thief, and you will not even know the time when I will come. So Most High Wilderness was edifying through the Spirit. Most High willing, my brothers, continue to, do the works of the Most High. Enjoy the feast. Stay on fire. Stay fervent. Right? Get your houses in order. But with that, I'm going to close out giving all honor and glory to the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, Yahweh, by Hashem Mashiach, Malak Yahushua. Shalom.